All right. I know normally I would wear this ring, but I not sure I've ever had a better excuse to just wear this. Lanterns, episode 1. Is it good? No. Is it bad? No. I'm going to blame my experience of watching Battlestar Galactica on what I'm about to say. I am at present, and it might remain this way for a while, not yet comfortable, or at least being comfortable again with declaring something good when it is merely promising. Because this is promising for sure. But whether or not I feel this is good is going to be heavily dependent on where it goes and how well it does as it gets there. Because I'm at a point, and again, I blame Battlestar Galactica. Listen to the fact this podcast to hear me slowly lose faith in something that was really promising to the point that I absolutely detest it. But the thing is that this episode, if the overall season is not good, if it doesn't pull together, if it falls apart, if the conclusion is crap, so where it's going isn't really anything of note, this is not something I'd ever sit down and watch again. So, like, for comparison, while it took me a long time to be able to, because the endings were so bad, I can still rewatch some of the best stuff of Dexter. Game of Thrones, even. I've still got the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones. And I will rewatch those because they're good, even independent of the thing falling apart completely. This isn't good enough for me to revisit on its own. This could be good if the whole thing comes together. But on its own, it's just promising. There is promise here, though. If I'm going to register a major complaint, it's somebody turn the damn lights on. Look, I know that it's going like for a moody, sort of a True Detective, neo-noir kind of thing. Here's the thing I wish more people trying to emulate a noir or a neo-noir feel. Actual noir movies, while they had very stark shadows, you could see what was going on. They weren't just dark. They were stark. They weren't dark. So if you want to emulate the tone and feel of something noir-esque, that doesn't mean just shoot it in low light, or at least it shouldn't. Can we stop this already? I have been complaining about this in television specifically for, I don't know, let's say 7 years now or so. It's not getting better. So with that now off my chest, it's interesting. And if DC was ever going to do tone like this is a really good character to do it with because, the Green Lanterns they are the cops. They are the space cops. So if you're going to do a jaded detective and you don't want to use Batman because that one's almost too obvious, having it be Hal Jordan, that's pretty solid. Now, I don't have a definitive opinion of sort of my feelings on these takes for Hal and for John. I am kind of curious, like if I stopped and thought about it, it will probably make sense. I mean, well, actually, now that I think about it, I was going to say, I'm not sure how Guy Gardner fits into this situation. Not that I'm expecting him to show up in the show. He would not fit the tone at all. But now that I actually stop and think about it, I'm not entirely sure why there are multiple Green Lanterns in the comics either. I'm sure there's some explanation as to why, when there shouldn't be. There's supposed to be one per sector. I don't know. I don't know how they explain it in the comics, so it's probably just the same thing, whatever it is. But I think the contrast between Hal and John works pretty well. I like that characters pretty consistently call out both of them, especially given how, kind of performative Hal is and how shut off John is. To, see characters call them on their nonsense, to have the sheriff, when Hal starts a fight, to get thrown into jail so he can, hoping to be put next to the guy he wants to interrogate that he's told he's not allowed to, she just shoves him in a closet because she knows what he's doing. Or you have John talking to the woman in the bar, and she's saying, "Oh, it must be hard to be trained by someone you don't respect." He's like, "I respect him." She's like, "No, you don't." I think in general, it's not a requirement to make these kinds of characters work, but I do think if you are not going for a pastiche or a full recreation, I think a good way to soften the presentation of these sort of hard-boiled archetypes that they appear to have currently slotted Hal and John into, it's nice to have somebody there who's just like, stop it. Stop it with that nonsense. Not that they necessarily should stop it. It's their characterization. But I don't know. It helps a little bit. And it helps that it doesn't feel like it's being done snarkily. It doesn't feel like, the facetious, frivolous kind of humor we get a lot of these days that basically amounts to, well, that happened. No, it doesn't have that tone to it at all. It's actually really consistent with the overall pretty somber tone of the thing as a whole. There isn't really too much to say plot-wise, because, surprising that we jumped to 2026 at the end after having most of the story take place in 2016, and we have Hal appearing to be dead. That's interesting. It's a good hook. And again, as I said, promising for sure. I just, I don't know where they're going with it, and we'll have to see. I'll be curious to see how much of the story overall is done in flashback versus present day, because we could do mostly present day with the occasional flashback, or we could do mostly flashback, only occasionally leaping ahead for showing how the thing we saw in flashback applies to what's going on in the current time. Or heck, it could even vary episode to episode how they choose to balance that. And I'll be curious to see how that plays out. Small detail that I actually rather like. I like that they have John hooking up with an older woman very casually. Very little attention drawn to it. Like, the fact that he finds out she's somebody's wife, that gets attention drawn to it. The fact that she's probably in her 50s, that has zero attention drawn to it. And I kind of appreciate that. It actually made me more okay with the fact that the sex scene had happened at all, because up to that point I was like, okay, we're doing this. But then they have that happen. I'm like, oh, that's a slightly different dynamic, and that lands slightly different with that information. Okay, sure. Why not? I am, if there's points of concerns I have, also, well, first of all, I don't like the Harry Potter reference. I shouldn't have to tell you why. It's not surprising. This is a Warner Brothers property. Warner Brothers is the exact same company that's going to be putting out the new TV show. Not surprising, but my friend Jesse did a whole video talking about how the way that our media continues to casually reference Harry Potter is harmful in and of itself and really needs to stop. And again, while it's understandable how it ended up here, yeah, still irritating. But beyond that, I am very curious as to whether or not John's father is going to be brought into question. Because I'm not saying that he can't have like a complicated or even mostly, respectful or even looking up to him kind of relationship, but I kind of want somebody somewhere along the lines to bring into question the fact that he was shooting live rounds inches above his kid's head. Because so far, the show's not interrogating that. Now, they might. And this is just me expressing my desire, like, boy, I hope they do. Because otherwise, like, the fact that we hear John talk to his dad on the phone very casually, like, seemed to almost go to him for advice. It seems like he really thinks that was a positive thing, especially with how casually he references it when talking to a kid. It's a little... Again, I'm not going to say it's bad, for the same reason that I'm not ready to declare the episode overall good. Depends where they go with it. I will try and keep these reviews interesting, but it's going to be hard for me to make a definitive statement on these more serialized shows, at least for a while, as they go. Because so much is going to depend on the thing as a whole coming together. And again, Battlestar Galactica has kind of ruined a certain amount of ability to give benefit of the doubt in my head. Like, I'm just, hopefully I'll get that back eventually, but right now I'm just here to say this has potential and hopefully it'll live up to it. Lanterns, first episode. What did you think about it? What thing that I didn't mention, because I went into very few specifics, were you shocked I didn't bring up? That seems to be a recurring topic in my comments on my reviews, because I do these without notes. But whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about a Patreon. Pays the bills, enables me to do this as my living, even if you can't help me out that way. Like, share, subscribe. They all help out. Don't worry too much about it. Take a relaxed attitude around here so you can come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Zubin Lutfula, Daphne Matthews, Kay Johnston, Auntie Kate 808, Mira G, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Snark Shark, Oliver B, Mystic Shadow, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Magdalena, Melissa Pedersen, Becky Sparks, Twilord, Tracy Scrabbit, Palba Rabajoggle, Sir Didymus is my favorite, and additionally, from the lower tiers of support, I'd also like to thank Isabel Lovelace, Hey Chica, and Lee Campo. What are you guys doing? Oh my goodness, who's back there? Oh, Worm, why do you do this?